안녕하세요, 엉클즈입니다. 이번 시간 함께 플레이해볼 게임은 Lake of Voices. 비주얼 노블 장르입니다. You need make various decisions throughout, like voices. Here are few details to keep in mind. Certain choices are timed. Time running out isn't something to completely avoid. In some cases, not getting involved can open new possibilities. Other choices aren't timed. These options only determine whether Kika has any special affection for another character or not. If you survive until the second night, the story will branch into one of 5 different plot lines based on your earlier decisions. The characters cannot manage all situations in various plot lines regardless of what you do. If a character isn't making it, try getting that plot with a different set of survivors while having the same group of characters venture through some other storyline. Becoming closer to someone can add and or remove future choice options and change how some scenes play out. Your decision to build that connection may not go noticed by the other characters. Earning the full amount of affection with certain characters can require getting into specific plot lines. My grip on my lantern tightened as the fog around us thickens. While the forests in this area are relatively safe compared to Silos, I can't help but feel my hair stand on end the future we get. The further we get. My free-hand fingers, the hilt of my sword, something akin to nervous reflex.
Have you seen it before?
Family breaks the silence, either sensing my uneasy or assuring his own. I hope it's the latter.
I haven't. I've had no reason to go near this cursed lake until now. What have you?
Family scratches his chin casually, as though I asked what his favorite food is.
I traveled the long way around it once before. Not so pleasant. Something about it just frays your nerves. Although, even being near it is enough.
So I'm not the only one who feels it. A sense of relief hit me, but not enough to undo the buzzing of anxiety. The lake Shinlos must try their best to avoid it all their lives. The hundreds who die attempting to cross its unearthly black water, dragging to death by the creature looking within and secret.
No wonder you were assigned this mission.
There are few who had first-hand experience with the place. Even if from a distance, he will probably keep being picked whenever they need someone to cross for however long he is with us. Family shrugs, bringing my attention back to the dark past before us.
At least we're taking the bridge this time. It'll only take 2 days instead of double that, and the sooner this place is behind us, the better.
It would be preferable not to risk it. But time is of the essence. We don't really have a choice.
One of our allied villages, Hammer, is being harassed by brigadiers. A band of ruffians. We don't have many guards to send as an assist, only Vermilly and myself. The least we can do is arrive before we are too late to be of any use. These kind of squabbles happen often, but have to be put down lest they turn into a blood grudge or all-out war. The last we heard, neither option was that far off.
I can also see why they chose you to come out here.
A glance at Vermilly, an eyebrow raised, a slight smile played across his
You're always
lips.
so calm and so serious. Nothing can get to you. You're the best choice they had.
A smile now tugs at my own lips. I would like to thank him, but that wouldn't be so calm and serious as he just described. And if that's how he sees me, I'd like to keep it that way. My lack of reaction only makes his smile grow, and he chuckles a bit before refocusing on the past. I'd the same. It wouldn't be right to let my guard down in a place like this. Family appears to feel differently, however.
You know the town on the other side of the lake, though. It's not so similar to ours. If all goes well, perhaps we'll have enough time to enjoy the new area.
For the most part, I ignored him, nodding when applicable. Family is a talkative sort, and if chatting helps keep his worries down and his sword hand ready, I have two complaints. After a time, the thick fog surrounding us begin to clear. A sleek wooden dock comes into view, and with it the sound of water gently lapping at each side. Vermilly shipped beside me, stretching his lantern arms as far as it will go. He
Someone's
seems
already here.
a young woman stands by the dock, eyeing us warily. Does she intend to cross tonight? Evidently, she has the same question as he steps up next to her. It's clear she isn't simply passing by. She is waiting. The stranger nods courteously to us.
Margaret.
Kika the Steadfast.
Bemele. Hello?
There's a stuffy silence. Margaret turns a gaze out across the lake, expression unclear. With not much to say, but Millie and I do the same. From here, the black surface of the lake looks disarmingly calm. Wind rushes across its surface. A sound like whispering, though perhaps it actually is whispering. I concentrate, trying to place a difference, searching for breaks and rhythm. After a few seconds, I feel foolish. It doesn't matter what the noise is, whether I hear them or not. We're not alone. The Nixie are out there. A feeling that I can't quite shake tell me they've already noticed the little group of people on their shore. It feels hostile. My stomach sinks and instead address Pamela.
Where is the guide?
Unless he's on the center island or on the complete other side, your guess is as good as mine. It's dark as pitch out there.
Panic rises inside me. Panic I try hard to
We can't
quell.
cross without him, and we need to get going soon.
You can't cross with him either.
The woman behind us, Margaret, cuts in with something like a snort.
What?
I know the guide will be here tonight. I have already made arrangements with him to cross.
Family and I share a look. The woman seems haughty and willing to put up a fuss.
I have his word he'll take me today. It would be wiser for the two of you to begin the trip around if you're really in such a hurry. Or you can make camp here and wait for him to make the trip back if you prefer.
여러분 지금 엉클존과 함께 레이크 오브 보이스를 플레이하고 계십니다. I don't need to turn my attention to Vermilly to know he's lead up. I step in before he can say something rash.
Even if that is so, my companion and I must begin the trip tonight.
Margaret is unimpressed and opens her mouth to argue further.
We'll wait for the guide to arrive before coming to a conclusion about any of this.
She clamps her mouth shut, then lets out a sigh.
You can do as you like.
With the matter tentatively settled, Vermelle moves away. His finger begins to tap loudly against the top of his hilt. He shifts from one foot to another, then groans.
What's that bastard even up to?
I almost visibly start, but manage to restrain myself. He probably doesn't know any better. I'm sure of that. It's not worth mentioning.
With a mouth like that, you shouldn't even have the right to ask the guide to take you across.
How ludicrous. He's faced far worse than a bit of foul language.
Do you know anything that's happened with this lake?
I know enough.
Margaret is clearly not convinced, but she shrugs and makes a show of turning her back to him.
The guide's father is Garvin the Exemplar. Garvin never accepted the guide as his son. all the way up until he died, in this lake. Your statement could be seen as tasteless.
Oh,
Vermelli rubs the back of his neck, his face regretful.
my apologies to the guide. I didn't mean it that way. I never knew about his... well, that.
A smile spread across my face. One eye quickly wiped away. He really did just misspeak. The silence slowly stretches between the three of us, growing more awkward with each passing second. Margaret seems irritated and Vermilly abashed. Quite important, Margaret. I'm sure you are forgiven. Vermilly, say nothing. We each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. 여러분은 지금 클쭉과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. That must be a guide, although I can shake the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares.
Are you the guide of Sinlos?
The man knows. He has a sharp face and weary eyes.
Well, that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Emily motions to the two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strained smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guy turns to face her as well, face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He wouldn't have to say something otherwise. She really does have a preference to travel with him. That's a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all 3 of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
Hey, Puro, my bro. It's disturbing. It dum and one offered with little emotion attached. Millie glares back, asking without asking what we supposed to do with such circumstances.
You should go around.
The sentence hangs in the air, the second half unspoken. If you want to leave.
We don't have time for that. There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
He jerks a finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
She meets Vermilly's eyes with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak, and she cut in.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface. If you don't decide soon, no one will be going.
The guide is dispassionate, stonic. I would almost feel something's wrong with him if I didn't share the trait myself. Vermilly pulls me to the side, jaw clenched tight.
That woman isn't armed.
His voice is low. He darts a glance at Margaret.
We can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
I stare at the dog, refusing to meet Vermilly's eyes, and try to keep my voice as level
We don't know her
as.
situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
Vermilly leans to closer, apparently having missed what I said. I remove the sympathy for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms, a hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my ability and in Vermilly's, but there is no reason not to believe the guide knows exactly what he is talking about. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we each deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. Believe we should go.
And I believe you.
Memory reply is firm. My steadfastness seems almost weak in comparison to its certainty. He addressed the guide.
We shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
The guide slowly turns around, without even a nod to show his agreement. Margaret stared at Emily and me, something of reserve in her gaze. Then she follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight. Those monsters can starve.
He turns to follow the others across. I will protect everyone on this trip. We will make it through this. Then I step into the dock and join them. As soon as I step onto the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water surface as reflective as a mirror. Until we reach land again. This is only one small mistake away. We fall into line with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick, wet wood. Emily brings up the rear. Each of us hold our lantern in front of us, but it doesn't little good. The fog is thick and night impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake against my better judgment. It's no wonder there is not even the sound of water. With how still the surface is, it seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the water of sinners is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. It turns my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing
I'm
Margaret.
sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulder rises, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
Facing the front again. His voice is expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I want to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs non-committally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitates, and then she looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities, not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I'm not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. As the conversation lures, a new sound breaks through. It's whispering noise again. It's chatter of inhuman voices, and this time coming from.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his
Work
own.
to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from
Groups
behind
tend
me.
to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guy doesn't say anything in response to Emily's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Emily, or whether he just didn't feel the statement made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a rise behind in the bridge, part of forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide. He speaks softly, though I couldn't quite hear him because of it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead of a moment to explain it to Vermilly and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word is able to escape me in my stunned state. Behind Vermilly stand another figure, looming in the darkness, seeing my face. Vermilly grabs the hilt of his sword and whips around, then staggers swiftly backward. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted black figure hovers its way toward us. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edge of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Vermilly back up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another.
What on earth?
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight, and desperation breathes into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, tracking forward, stopping, then resume its slow advance.
Does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Vermilly's pitch. Here's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Family sputters in anger, and the guide summarily ignores him. I solidly grab hold of Bamili's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bamili eyes the guide with unreserved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now that he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is grateful that I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Bamili places a gentle hand on my shoulder. No, seriously. Place my hand over his. No, seriously. Bamili's face hardened in return. 여러분 지금 엉클존과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now, properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we were catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. We tug on Bamili. We start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridges. Only this time we wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At least it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this, or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I still myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I noticed the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Emily, they're stopping.
Pamela slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says with something akin to distress,
There's another one.
I tug on Pamela, and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Just over his shoulder, I see another plower stumbling toward us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hand turned over in the air, palm
Give
up.
me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Emily speaks. Instead, his back still
If
turned.
you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Emily's lantern from him. Guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose name grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far. The light will blow out before it reaches the Nix.
He steps close to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the plower starts to back away. Is it only the approaching light that's making it retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movement. The voice from the lake grows louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake in the distance and onto the edge of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Emily eases my grasp on his arm. Then suddenly the guide takes multiple long and fast strides forward through the lantern and jump backward to regain the lost distance. There is a sharp hiss and then a deep splash, and the voices of Nixie grow quieter, not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me, and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
I glance at Emily and realize he, too, is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. The first flower is still there. It's right there. Pull Emily forward. I shift around, pulling Emily behind me. The flower lunges after him, barely missing Emily, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out, and two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. 여러분 지금 엉클준과 함께 레이크 오브 보이스를 플레이하고 있습니다. Then there is slick splash. I realize the Nixie has retreated into the water. Somehow, Emily and I are still standing. We are still here.
Kika, thank you.
I can respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. Kick it off! I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nixie's hold slips. It can pull with the momentum I gain against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out toward the Nixie. The light brushes the pace. It's a pace. We see it for instance, its eyes wide, and then it slides back into the smooth space of the water. Emily grabs Margaret and I both, helping us toward the center of the bridge and cursing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle. But there's nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of a family. I need to, in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety. But I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in his moment. I shake my head lovely and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I'm able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Yes. Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we are all on the same side. It isn't only Emily and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guy's voice, as cold as that monster's grasp, ends my train of thoughts.
We lost the lantern I threw. The Nix grabbed it after the light went out.
Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she is upset, but there is a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me, and just as quickly stops. Family chuckles in response, and our collective tension raises up. The adrenaline drained from our bodies. Adrenaline.
We need to keep walking.
The guy starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the leaf. The ease that wants to flood my head is not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Vermilly's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Vermilly stays by my side as I keep at the end of line. The breath of release for Margaret and Vermilly is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Shilos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of Paula reaching out toward us appears each time I close my
Why
eyes.
does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The flowers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pained expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though. They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Of course, it isn't. They are monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of a right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret the end her part of the.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Vermilly and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Vermilly loses his position momentarily.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Vermilly's surprise is so apparent. I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself too. Vermilly returns to his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Vermilly turned to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death no matter how experienced Vermilly and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult. Current format has worked so far. I'd like to move up. Margaret stands slightly up to the side to let us pass. Careful not to get too close to the water edge.
Thank you kindly, Margaret.
I nod at her. Emily and I position ourselves a few feet away from the guide, and in no time we were falling into step in our new positions. 여러분 지금 엉클족과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Margaret chuckles, reflecting a amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Damn.
I suppress my laughter yet again at his taunting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
I like the way you think.
Then a grin enters Emily's eyes, and he grins.
I think Kika deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
He leans softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Bemele was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Emily swings a fist at Margaret in mock anger, then shoots me a affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Emily laughs self-consciously, scratching his head.
That's very true. You can always count on Kika.
I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, almost grateful, to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it is my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. It's strange in the middle, watching over the guide. Until now, I didn't notice how smooth his movements are. There is a sense of grace to his action even in the basic task of walking down a bridge. I have to actively stop myself from being distracted by it. Suddenly, I notice the guy seems to be getting further away from us. He's speeding up. I do the same to match his pace and end up moving at a light
Guide,
jog.
why are we going faster?
He doesn't reply, doesn't even look back at me. Instead, his speed almost doubles. I glance back, worried, but Margaret is keeping up with us. The guide keeps moving faster and faster until finally we are at an all-out sprint. Figures in the dark fog flies past us at a blow, and it occurs to me the branching paths in the bridge appear to be sinking. I swallow my rising panic. The guy shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic pounding of our and trying to piece together. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't stop, turn. When he takes a masterfully sharp right down on different paths, using his own monument and sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Despite the sudden turn, my reflexes enable me to keep close behind him.
We're making a right!
Family is on my heels, following me the turn. I glance back once more. Margaret, although further behind than before, also make the turn. We are all still together. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. Even the stamina is being challenged. I can imagine what it must be like for Margaret. She holds her side as she runs, clearly clamping from the exercise. How much longer will this last? People have to rest some time. Almost as if in response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to a stop as well, sliding on the surface of the wood.
Why did we stop?
Romilly's voice is tired, but his guard is up. The guide doesn't answer, just stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following his gaze further down the path. They are called in a little ball, illuminated by the lantern's light, covers a person. His hand grips his head, and he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
I'm struck with an array of questions. What is going on? Why would he wander out onto this bridge on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seemingly only just now having the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with the clear marking of terror, are scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do.
Leave him.
I snap my eyes away from the man and instead to Guy's cold, implacable
No!
face.
We can't just leave him here. We've managed fine enough already, and these creatures will probably pluck him away as soon as we've gone. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
He won't make it regardless.
The guy turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to grow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
여러분 지금 알코줄과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. I glance at the others. Family is outraged, but Margaret is staring at the man with something like fear. She is uneasy, but she doesn't voice her concerns. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guy speaks again, his voice cutting.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges. I didn't agree to lead this man, and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
Adrenaline surges through my veins, and I tense up. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way we own our own. Margaret, Vermilly, and I frantically share more looks between each other, trying to communicate without words. None of us have a desire to speak and be the first to make a choice. The man is standing now, though still hunched, with his arms wrapped around himself as if expecting a blow. He stares at the ground rather than at us. Because of this, I'm having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
He glances up, not at me, but toward me, his eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
That's absurd. You have no way to defend yourself. We can't leave you.
Yes, I'm sure in your eyes I might not seem like much, but that's not exactly a fair shake. Maybe in a perfect world, every man would be as large as you. But that's not how things always go. Doesn't mean I'm defenseless.
The man's response is withering. The words themselves seem to be in good jest, but he is still barely looking at us, pressing with his hands. Family prawns, unimpressed.
It was a joke.
He smiles hesitantly, making eye contact with each of us for
What part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget that too. Point is, I'm alright.
You were curled up in a ball when we met.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He let out a weak little laugh coupled with a eyebrow raise. Voice trembling, no one really knows what to make of this. The man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Vermilly hops, tossing his hands into the air.
That's not even the right way.
It could be if he's trying to get to the side we came from.
He must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore that he started on.
The man's smile grows.
Good. That's not so bad.
There is no response to this remark, unsure of what could be said.
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
I look over the man's body, nothing the scrawniness of his limbs. Scrawny, but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to leave us has faded yet again, and now he standing quietly, looking at us as if watching. Interest but not through connection to the event.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Emily looks at Margaret. She avoids his gaze.
Perhaps I could have let him share my light before, but the guide has said the one with him has to remain behind, and I simply wouldn't be able to manage it.
Emily's hands turn into fists. He looks away, but doesn't say anything. For a moment, no one does. I feel a cold sweat on my brow as what I feared comes to pass. He stopped us from protecting another. Why must he get involved now? Why can he not leave us to make our own decisions?
You. Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
The man's voice is full of something I cannot place, and he starts to shuffle back down the way we came, arms still clenched around himself. Margaret might not be able to take him, but there is another way this could be solved. I could stay back with him. I'm put Emily and myself at significantly more risk, but at least this man will stand a chance. Put out a hand to stop him. Do nothing. I can't risk it. Margaret and Emily stare at the man as he leaves. We all watch him drag his little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. 여러분 지금 엉클주과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. We had to let him go. We've only barely been surviving so far. The space the man vanished into is dark and silent. We can see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps.
Maybe we should call him back? We can at least give him directions. Tell him what paths we've been taking.
It's not going to make any difference. We can't give directions when the bridges we were on might very well have sunken away.
We shouldn't focus on what might become of him. He has his own path to follow, and we ours. We should focus on what we're doing now.
Of course, it's not really a might, but we have to get through this somehow, and being way down with guilt will only distract us. The guy starts moving again at a quick pace. After a moment's hesitation and one last glance into the truly lifeless fog, we run to catch up to him. We walk onward in silence. Our party hasn't changed. The stranger was never added to it, so it's not as if it makes sense to miss him. But there's a sense of loss all the same. No one even attempted mirth. I keep thinking I should have done more. Should have pushed the guide harder to change his mind, so it was less dangerous to keep the man around, something, anything. But have to let this go. I'm not going to forget that man. I'll never forget him, but we still need to get through this. I curl my hands into fists, hoping I'll strengthen my resolve. Then I push forward. We turn down a different path and the guide stops. Ahead of stands a group of flowers. At the sound of us, then turned their heads in unison, as if they knew we were coming. I inhale.
Not again.
The flower wiggled somehow, their skin moving more slowly than it should, sliding across their skeletons they left.
We already lost a lantern and it's only our first day. We can't keep doing this.
Yes, we can't lose a lantern at this point. We're almost to the island.
The guide rummages through his coat with his free hand.
What are you planning?
Familiar tones is borderline threatening, but the guide ignores him. He pulls out a small pouch, then opens a latch on his lantern.
Wait, are you going to throw that at them? What if the bridge sets on fire?
It will. We're going to run.
This is insane! These bridges are hellish enough without them also being on fire. And what about the other man? If he's still out there, this could...
He's dead. We're not losing another lantern.
He says it with such detached certainty. It's as if he saw it happen himself. No one argues with him. The guide steps close to the flower. We fall into step behind him, staying close to his back. He bends his lantern back down until it is lowered to his outstretched arm. The pouch in his hand is set aflame. With a practiced flick of the wrist, he swings the step back and up. The glass on the lantern snaps closed.
Don't get left behind.
He takes 3 quick steps, then tosses the pouch. The prowler are back in the water before the pouch even lands. As soon as it does, the fire starts to lick and curl itself around the wood. The guide breaks into a sprint and so to the rest of us. The blaze grows. Despite the heavy dampness from the lake, these bridges aren't normal bridges. Of course, that's true. Nothing here is right. Hopefully, they won't collapse with the flames. We stay on the guide's heels, almost too close for comfort. If he stops abruptly, we will all crash into another, may even fall. Then the world tilts. I was mid-stride when I put my foot down. The bridge isn't where it was. The lurches to one side, either because it was weakened or pushed. Emily and I managed to keep our ground, but Margaret falls to the ground. At least I thought that was what happened. She started pawing the bridge. My glasses fell off. I can see. The guide, having regained his balance, passes on. He doesn't even bother to look at her. Emily and I run to Margaret, scanning the bridge, but there is no sign of her glasses. The flames are growing thicker and closer. The heat light sucking close enough to nip at her heels. I grab Margaret's arm.
Your glasses aren't here anymore. We have to go or we'll lose the guide.
Margaret squints up at me, face paler than ever. She nods and stands, and we start after the guide again. As our storm of pit thunder across the board, a silver begin to rise into view just above the edge of the water.
Island.
The island, I quint and suddenly make out the crazy form of land and earth. I see it. We are almost safety at long last in sight. We energy surges through me. We push ourselves faster, longing to put this God-forsaken bridge behind our. All at once, the bridge ends, and the entire group rushes ashore. Earth, solid earth, a heaven. I catch my breath while still moving even further away from the dark shoreline. I can't believe we actually made it. Even more difficult is the idea that we're only halfway done. When night falls once more, we have to do it all again. I heavy arm falls across my shoulders, and I straightened to see Emily smiling wearily at me.
Good work out there.
It's not the usual commendations of a job well done. There is sadness, perhaps even sympathy in the sentence. It ends flatly. Usually Emily's comfort and good nature keeps me at least the urge to smile, but right now it feels like a hollow victory. He moves to face Margaret, who is squinting and
Good
surrounding.
work out there.
This statement is more energetic. He's not willing enough to show lack of confidence in front of her. Margaret smiles slightly.
How are you doing without your glasses?
Oh, I'll manage. I have to, after all. I'm not completely blind, thankfully, so I can muddle my way through.
There isn't anything much to see out on those bridges. As long as you stay away from the edge, you should be as safe as you were before.
That's true. It will be fine.
And then the guide is there. He moves so smoothly that his steps on the soft sand are nearly silent, and his dusky clothes bend with the thinning of the night.
The sun will rise soon. The fire on the bridge is the only reason this island isn't overrun with prowlers right now. However, they could still pose a threat.
Is that why you decided to set the bridges on fire? To make the island safer?
The guide looks at Margaret for what I suddenly realize might be only the second or third time.
Setting the bridges
night.
alight isn't an uncommon strategy. It has many uses.
He walks away, Margaret frowning at his retreating form. The guide takes us to an area a bit further inland, but not too far from the water. 여러분 지금 엉클축과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. Three partially obscure our location, and there's enough room to watch the coast in case prowler start to emerge from the water. Essentially, it's a place where an ambush would be hard.
If any of you see anything at all, speak up. We don't want them to sneak up on us.
Almost automatically, each member of the group turns to different direction. For a brief second, I feel flicker of pride. This night may have been awash with misery, but we are still here for each other. As the sky continues to fade from pale purple to the muted blue, the waters stay silent. For the first time, nothing happens. It's a miracle. Suddenly, my chest is lighter and the air is fresher. The first flicks of light appear over the horizon, sting my eyes after such a long journey through darkness. A sound catches my attention and I move my focus toward its direction. The guide is opening the latches on his lantern again. He gently, almost respectfully, blows out the light.
We no longer have to worry about the Nixie. It is over for today.
I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, an understanding passing between us. Then we find our own space as comfortable as we can get and lie down for the rest we weren't sure would ever come. My eyes slowly blink open and readjust to the brightness. What little there is, the sun is obscured by a thick layer of fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop up my elbows and pushes myself up. The ground is hard and rocky, but that isn't the only reason I am eager to get on my feet. I check my surroundings. The harsh, craggy earth of the island interlaced with twisting beams and gnarled branches. Beside me, Family and Margaret are still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize that I don't recall seeing him lay down with everyone. It's likely to be he left us hours ago. Hours ago. There is creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. Aching feeling inside of me. It refuses to relent. I shift my weight back and forth, unsure of what to do with myself. Memories of last night's harrowing journey flickers through my mind. Family wakes suddenly, rising with alarm and startling Margaret awake as well. My mouth open, then shuts. After a moment of fumbling, a word finally
Hello.
escapes. Family gives me a gentle smile and makes his way over to me. Margaret follows suit.
Morning.
Is it even morning anymore?
Margaret tried to speak heartedly. However, it doesn't do much to improve the mood. The pocket of quiet descends over us.
We should eat something soon. Margaret, do you have enough supplies?
Yes, I think I'll be alright with what I have.
That's a relief. The two of us have plenty of rations, though, so if you need anything, you can always ask.
Margaret sighs and passes her fingers to her temples, acting as if she's paid up with us.
You know, the two of you need to stop looking out for everyone else so much.
Family winks at the statement without vocalizing what's on his mind. Margaret and I share a glance. This is about the person we left behind yesterday. The person we didn't tell.
I'm sorry, I didn't intend.
It's not your fault.
It goes quiet between us once more. A distinct rustling of the leaves around catches my attention. The guide appears, emerging from the thicket. Margaret appears to be a little uncomfortable at his return. Family glares at me as he makes his way
Nixie
over.
will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious. Before the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why did we have to leave him behind?
I sharply turn toward Emily as he snarls and confronts the guide.
If you would just let him follow behind us, he would be alive.
The guide looks away, seemingly
If all you're
unaffected.
going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Vermilly's severe words, the guide apparently considered his piece here finished. He turns toward the forested area from which he came.
Wait!
Vermilly called out to the guide, reaching toward him before he can make contact. I quickly place a hand. He rolls his arm to his side, though I can still feel wrath emanating from him. We stay this way until the guide disappears from view. Vermilly begins to kick at the ground, spray teeny pieces of gravel about.
Vermelle, I know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
And we've done so well with him.
I give him a cold glance. We won't even know which bridge to take without the guide. Vermilly knows that this needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back. And what of Margaret?
We can't afford to lose our way.
The anger etched into his expression faded into
You're right,
sadness.
Kika. You're right.
We weakly swatch his hand in front of his face as if he is trying to shoo away his racing thoughts.
I can't stay here right now.
I nod, allowing him to leave alone. Beside me, Margaret released a sigh.
Are you alright?
No, I'm not. Nothing is all right. It will never get any better.
Margaret sucks in her breath as she starts to get emotional. Before it can spill out of her, she turns on her heels and walks off in a direction different than the guys. Quietly, I speak. I need to be alone. I'm going to speak with the guide. I bow my head into fist, still my will and start advance in the direction the guide. I push my way through the branches and reach the other shore of the island. I see the guide. I see the guy with his back toward me. I didn't try to be quiet as I approached it. He must be
You haven't asked
heard
me to
me.
leave. Does that mean I can speak to you?
You may say what you like.
When he turns to face me, one feeling comes to the forefront of my mind. Sadness, anger. I feel the tears well in my eyes after all that's happened. The people who have died. How am I even supposed to talk to someone like him? He does not even seem concerned. He does not seem to care about anything.
Why can't I be more like you?
My voice is soft, but by his raised eyebrow, it seems the guide heard me.
I do not want to feel pain or sadness anymore. I'm so tired. I wish I could feel nothing at all.
My head droops, and I cover my face and
How
cry.
are you able to go through this every day? Is it nothing more than becoming used to it? I have seen death so many times since becoming a guard, and even before that I was familiar with loss, yet it still hurts so much. The sting has not dulled at all. I have simply learned to hide it better. And now it seems I cannot even do that.
I cannot stop sobbing. The tears just continue to fall. His distress strangely makes it easier to let my true self show. Although he remains silent, I can still feel the guy near me. He has not abandoned me here. And sometimes I manage to stifle the tears and look up at him. His eyes are distant, looking out across the expanse of silence.
You do not need practice. You need a new perspective. You can see 1,000 deaths and still feel pain at each one, so long as they hold meaning for you.
How can I do otherwise? Losing one's life is a tragedy.
There are people dying even as we speak. You do not care about them.
I do not have to see those with my own eyes.
But you can still decide that those deaths are not relevant to you. Or perhaps you choose to feel that whether a person dies sooner or later makes no difference. Or even that death is to be preferred over life in this world. At least they have peace. Their death may even be beneficial to others. Any such idea would be fine. Pick what is easiest for you to swallow.
It sounds cold, but he is simply giving what I ask for. I am not able to stop myself from inquiring
What
further.
is your perspective?
He pauses a moment in thought.
The villages in this area pay me so that I am able to stay and lead people when needed. But making a living is not the reason I do so. Neither is it so I can help those who wish to cross. I stay here so that I can make certain as few people attempt the journey as possible.
What?
I have decided to believe that I make a difference in the amount of those who come in contact with Sinlos. So long as I am here, others rarely try to cross on their own. They either wait for the few trips I am able to make, or don't go at all. I can also turn someone away if I feel they are unfit. My one hope in this life is that someday people will never attempt to cross the bridges again.
For a moment, I can feel the genuine emotion in his words.
It is a futile dream, I know. It is impossible to convince everyone.
Then the feeling is
For those who
gone.
do insist upon going, well, if their life is worth risking to save a few days of travel time, then it isn't worth very much at all. Understand?
Yes.
Fine.
He closes his eyes and thoughtlessly brushes a few loose strands of his hair back behind his ear. He seems to be losing some of his patience. For some reason, It's hard for me to see the guide acting so normal. It makes me realize how I never truly saw him for what he was. It's not your fault. I appreciate you listening to me.
What?
The guy turns back to me,
I didn't want
incredulous.
someone to die. I didn't.
My words get choked behind tears.
You're just a man. You cannot do more than anyone else. You cannot fix what is wrong with these bridges, or stop dangers from appearing, or make it so people will not have reasons to cross. You simply do what you can, like anyone else.
I feel anger begin to mix with my sorrow.
It is the world that needs to change, not you. No matter what choice you make, there will be suffering and hardships. All this time, I said I did not wish to leave anyone alone. But I have done so from the beginning. You are not my enemy.
The guy stares at me blankly. It seems as though he may be intentionally stripping himself of the human qualities he showed.
We are not allies either. We are merely two strangers walking the same path.
Regardless, I will be there for you.
Again, he watches me without speaking.
You should protect yourself.
He moves from me to stare across the water. The conversation is over. No matter, I will be strong for the both of us.
I'm going to see how everything is on the island.
As I turn and leave, I feel comforted that, at least in a small way, I understand the guide better. I head through the wooded part of the island. There isn't anything that could be called a path, but I managed to pick my way through the bushes quite well. After moving on, I find Bamele in a jagged clearing, running against the tree. He's already noticed me and is looking my way, smiling. As I get closer, I can pick up on the sadness behind his jovial expression.
How are you faring? Any problems?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
How kind. I've calmed down since then.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there any way I can help, or anything you'd like to say?
He raises an eyebrows at that. His grin becoming markedly playful.
I didn't expect to see you so worried about me, Kika.
I have to force myself not to avert my eyes at that comment, embarrassment flowing into me. Pamela noticed my reaction. He doesn't not draw attention to it, however. Instead, he throws his arms out wide with a sour expression.
Have you seen the guide?
Family is certainly asking out of a sense of obligation, and makes no secret that he is not pleased to be discussing the guide, I nod in response.
I saw him earlier. He is the same as always.
Good, good. In that case, I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit. I feel stiff from standing in one place for so long.
I bid him a brief goodbye. Family waves as he departs. When I step into another clearing, I notice Margaret sitting quietly at the base of the tree. Margaret begrudgingly lifts her head as I approach, enabling me to see that her face is dampened and tear stained, while her eyes are red and puffy. She's been crying. I shift uncomfortably on my feet.
Has something happened?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
Well, that's nice.
She speaks somewhat coldly, but at least she no longer seems as depressed.
I'm happy to report that everything's in order on this front.
I'm glad.
Of course, I cannot fully believe that Margaret isn't saying what's actually on her mind, but I have no way to truly reach
Is that
her.
everything?
I suppose it is.
My words come out slowly and hesitantly, as though she might change her mind if I bid my time. I want to do more, but I cannot think of what else I can do for her.
Then goodbye.
If you need anything, I will be close by.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Her response is sincere. It's enough to ease some of the worry. I smile, though weakly. With nothing else to say, I take my leave. I find that I've been facing back and forth for quite some time. I finished my check a while ago, so now I've nothing left to do but aimlessly wander. I'm overcome with restlessness. This island may be safer than the bridges, but that is far from enough to ease the mind. Behind me lives Russell. I turn to face the noise with noticeable unease. What I see is the guide. I blink in surprise. I didn't expect to run into him, and from the look on his face, he didn't expect me either.
Hello again. Is everything...
Nothing has changed.
I considered his words.
That is the best we can all hope for under these circumstances.
The guide
Yes.
knows.
It won't be much longer before it's time to depart. I will wait here for the time being.
Fine.
The guide is a strange figure. Oftentimes, I feel as though he has scarcely any presence at all, and at other times he makes me feel apprehensive. In this instance, however, I don't mind his company whatsoever. We wait in somber silence until the sun begins to vanish from the sky.
It's time to go to the meeting point.
I know. We walk together. The lack of conversation does not weigh on me whatsoever. There is nothing to say in this moment, and there is no nagging pressure to fill the silence. When we arrive, the spot is empty. The guide quietly gazes. I find myself closely observing him. It surprises me how accustomed I've become to his ways. As I watch him, I feel a sense of resolve. The guide has made history more times than one could count. I need to remember that this is possible. We can survive. After not too long, Margaret and Emily appear. Upon seeing me, she tries her best to greet me, though it's clear she's not doing well. Emily gives me a half smile as he waves.
Hello, Kika.
Hello there.
With the group now complete, the mood becomes tense. I can no longer ignore the fact that it's nearly time to leave again. However, I refuse to let go of this newfound determination. All of us wait in silence until darkness overtakes the island. We silently stand as one, forming a vigil of sorts. Our remaining lantern illuminates the dark, prepared for tonight's journey. And yet the way forward does not appear. The bridge hadn't lied from the depths. I glance my side, and guide doesn't look at all pleased. The corner of his mouth have a harsh bent as he briefly loses himself to heavy
We must
thoughts.
go to the shore.
He doesn't offer an explanation for why. Instead, he goes on without us. I follow after the guide, my forehead creasing with swelling worry. Behind me, I hear Vermelis and Margaret unsure footsteps. The four of us press onto the shore. The dark water laps at the edge of the sand, and as expected, the maze is still hidden beneath the surface. The guide grips his step tighter, still his knuckles turning ghostly white. He sucks in a breath of air like he is about to speak, but he hesitates. We all stare at him expectantly. After a moment more, the guide is fed up with waiting.
The bridges are late. If they don't arrive as soon as darkness falls, there's no telling exactly how long it will be before they do.
Family's pace immediately sour, and he's able to stay silent about his feelings.
So we're going to waste our time standing idly by. There's hardly enough time to make the trip as it is.
Complaining won't make these bridges come any sooner, though I sympathize with your frustrations. The wait had already been tense as it was. Not knowing how much longer it will last makes it that much more dreadful.
Time is by far the least of our worries. On the bridges we are constantly moving, which makes it easier to avoid the prowlers. However, this island does not offer that luxury. We're trapped here.
My body goes rigid as his words sink in.
More importantly, the bridges are raised above the waters. Nixie have difficulties pulling themselves up onto the bridges. The soft sloping of the shore will allow far more prowlers to drag themselves towards us. Not all will be as dangerous as the ones we've encountered thus far. However, we could easily be overwhelmed.
A pit forms deep in my stomach. I stare at him. August. I had no idea the situation was that dire. I glance from the waterline to the trees. What I'm going for, I don't know. A sign of what might be to come, perhaps.
I wonder if those fires had anything to do with this.
Familiar words are biting as he wanders around. The guide answered firmly, wanting to put an end to his speculation.
No. Whatever magic controlling the bridges is inconsistent. Humans haven't found a way to impact it. We can only do temporary physical damage to the boards.
Family is still displeased. Margaret moves into discussion. Her mood is rapidly declining as well.
Then what should we do? We shouldn't stay on the shore if the monsters could be coming towards us at any moment.
The guide closes his eyes and suddenly looks very worn down.
Staying in the center of the island is the safest option. However, there's the risk that we may not be able to reach the bridges when they do rise. Prowlers could have taken full control of the shore by then. Remaining here with our lanterns will ensure the prowlers cannot move freely.
My brows involuntarily knit together. I don't like the sound of taking additional risks in an area that is already so dangerous, but our options are thin.
I will not be kept on this island for another day, so the shore is where I will be. You may wait at the edge of the forest, or even at the center of the island if you fear being attacked. If the prowlers come between us and you fail to make it to the bridges, I will leave you behind.
Romilly spits hatefully under his breath.
Of course you would.
The guide has made his decision, and we must make ours.
If you were staying by the shore, perhaps I could be positioned somewhat further back from you, and then the others could stay further back still. That would keep us safer, without having any major gaps of darkness between us and the shore.
Good suggestion, Kika.
I'd say that's likely our best option, and we don't have time to come up with any other way regardless.
Settle on the matter. The three of us begin to move away from the guide. He pays little attention to us, instead silently fixing his eyes on the water. I take my place in the middle of the shore, while Pamela and Margaret hover closer to the island core on the line between dirt. After getting sense of where they are, I turn my gaze ahead. At first, I think I'm being pulled by a fog. There are several white dots playing along the edge of the water. Dark glows begin to surface, and I see them for what they are. Eyes, so many white, doubling eyes grimly, sharply against the pitchy black bodies as the Nixie bob up and down. They surface and disappear in a loop, each time more such eyes and closer, surveying us more intently. Then they cackle. The sound is atrocious, gurgling, then turning high-pitched as they seem to take full stock of us. The light in their eyes somehow seems brighter as the first of Nixie dig their claws into the sand and begin dragging themselves upon the shore. I plant my feet firmer. I shriek, pierces the air, accompanied by telltale hiss. I whip my head backward toward the sound, only to be granted by cold black darkness. I cry out desperately into the void where Margaret and Pamela stood.
What happened?
There is silence, then the best sound possible. Margaret's voice replies, "Alright, shakily.
There's a prowler in the woods. I didn't notice it until it was already too close to me. I dropped my lantern when I saw it. The light was enough to drive it away, but now it's gone. Shattered."
I swerve my head back to make sure the shore is still clear before I sprint over to release them from the darkness with my own light. Margaret stares down at the ground dejectedly when I arrive. Pamela has his hand placed on her shoulder.
I didn't see the thing either. The monster blended in far too well with the dark, crooked trees of this place.
He gives me a sad smile as approach too closer.
We can make a small fire for light.
Margaret sniffles loudly.
That may work for now, but what will we do once we're back on the bridges?
We will manage.
I speak firmly, trying to assure her I can't even guess how effective the attempt was. Family begin to gather dry twigs, stone and grass to craft a fire with. Margaret moves to help him, though she still looks terribly upset. I feel awful. It wasn't her fault. We dig a few inches down in the sandy soil before making an edging with the rocks to stop the fire from giving us a repeat of last night. I layered the pool quickly and light a match at the base of the pit. Margaret stokes the fire with the family, feeding the twigs. The glass ignites easily and showers the area with enough light to keep anything else that may be lurking in the forest at bay. I released a discreet sigh. We truly lucky no one was injured or lost during this ordeal. I keep that thought to myself, however, hearing it would only make Margaret feel worse.
You should go back to your position, Kika. It will all be for nothing if we can't make it onto the bridges in the first place.
Right.
I forced myself to sound
We're
bored.
going to get through this.
Margaret attempted to smile at me and family waves as I cautiously back up to my original position. I return my full focus to the shore as we feared. This is beginning a pressing situation. More prowler rose from the waters while my attention was on those two. They've surrounded the guide on both sides. The only way to gain distance from them would be to delve further into the island. Yet the guide shows no sign of giving up his position. He remains where he is, resolving to keep all the monsters near him in his sight. I grow more unnerved the longer I watch this. The guide seems impervious to the dangerous shallows. This is the first case where I can tell whether he will continue to be fine as always or not. It's a distressing notion. As they creep ever closer, I can't stay silent any longer.
Your safety is most important. Consider retreating.
He doesn't face me.
I cannot do that. Nixie recognized signs of weakness. Backing away will only increase the odds of them attacking.
I grip my lantern tightly as I swallow hard. What can I do? As if to ask my own question, I thought whispers into my mind, and I looked down at the lantern in my hand. I could throw it, as long as I don't let it go too far down the shore. It doesn't seem plausible that a Nix could take it. But if I do lose the lantern, especially after Margaret lost hers only moment ago, then throw lantern. Watch. I can act rashly here. The guide has managed through every situation we've been through, as well as countless hours we did not bear witness to. I resolved to continue with what we've planned and keep my position. 여러분 지금 엉클준과 함께 레이크 오브 보이시스를 플레이하고 있습니다. Without flinching, the guide keeps hold of our position on the waterline. I periodically switch between watching him, the the others and the rest of the shore. As I scan the forest, there is a stinging groan. Was that the guide? It can't be. I stand rigid in shock. A painful, prickling sensation going down my back. People whipping around to face the truth. He's crouched low on the ground, staring forcefully at group of Nixie head-on. There is a whole other group of monsters rapidly crawling. I step forward with a shot, but he put out one hand to halt me. I do not go further. I and those creatures motionless, watching for what he will do. His finger curled tightly around the upper half of his step. With great effort, he began to rise to his unstable feet. The moment he is fully upright, the guide aggressively swings his lantern at the encroaching Nix. He catches them completely off guard, and they scatter to rejoin the rest in back depths. The guide clumpers back into the sand unceremoniously. I can hear his lagged breath as he regains his composure. He tugs at one side of his cloak, bringing it closer around himself. It covers up a dark, growing stain clipping through his right pant leg. Even while collapsed, he seems compelled to hide his fragility. Is that admirable or saddening? I do not know anymore. The guide roughly pulls himself back onto his feet and forces himself to remain standing. The rest of us must remain strong as well if we were to survive this night. Gripping my lantern, I watch over everything and everyone to sight vigilantly. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There is an unusual gurgling, a sound I never thought I would be this relieved to hear. Slowly, correctly, the breezes make their nightly appearance. Celos is an overwhelmingly cruel environment. This island had felt like a safe haven such a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I am grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. More Nixies are breaching the water and wrenching themselves onto the sand. The guide signals to all of us.
We have to leave.
Thanks to his position on the shore, the guide is able to board the bridges without confrontation. for the rest of us. However, the Nixie begin to crowd the opening. It appears they want to get on themselves. We have desperately little time before we will be cut off from the guide. I look to my lantern. Will this light alone be enough to cause them to disperse?
Come on!
Margaret's shot cut straight through my thoughts. She advancing toward me, holding onto a heavy stick with the end set on fire as a makeshift torch. The sight is striking.
It won't last long! We need to get through now!
She needs not say anymore. The three of us push our way forward. As we advance, Margaret relays her plan.
Toss the branch when we get close. The smoke spewing off this thing is making it even harder to see than usual. So you tell me when it's time, Kika.
I can do that.
The shore approaches closer and closer, and every single one of Nixie turned their attention toward our small group. Now, after altering Margaret, she gives her all to hold the flame ahead of us while avoiding setting the bridge itself on fire. The monster freed from the torch. A path is clear. We waste not one moment, sprinting toward the bridge. With the other near my side, I amble back into the maze. We don't stop until there is a considerable distance between us and the shore. It is there that we encounter the guide. Upon seeing the figure, I hide a sigh of relief. We haven't been left behind. Our arrival doesn't change the guide's empty expression. He doesn't say or do anything, instead of allowing all of us to catch our breath. Pamela starts to laugh incredulously through uneven breaths.
Such recklessness. I can hardly believe it worked.
Margaret chimes in, equally as amazed and exhausted.
I don't know how we managed to do nothing wrong. That feels far more fitting for this journey.
Yes, you could have burnt your fingertips off. Or perhaps the bridges could have gone up in flames.
Margaret looks at him curiously. Pamela gives her wink.
That would have been the outcome if I was handling the torch, you think?
Margaret leaves a cork into a smoke.
Yes.
We treasure the moment of triumph for a little more before the guide ends his silence.
We need to start walking. We've already lost much time as it is.
Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he stumbles, nearly falling back down. His hands slip down the shaft of his step as he sinks to the ground. He grabs under his breath.
Are you all right? Is there anything we can do? I don't have much, but I could still clean and wrap it.
I take a few hurried steps closer. I reach my hands out toward him, which he curls away from like a barn cat. He turns his gaze up to me and shakes his head.
I tended to it myself when you were still on the shore.
Moment tick by as I stare at him, growing ever more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It's a weight bearing down on each of us, threatening to bring the entire group to its knees rather than only our lead. We can't stay here.
Are you able to walk?
He eyes his feet with gritted teeth and clenches his step tighter.
Not like this.
A bit of quiet passes before the continues, his voice
I
slightly
have
lagged.
a way. It will be enough to get to the other side.
Shaking, he removes a hand from his step and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have a little other choices, but to watch as he searches his pocket. The panic that we thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a viscous liquid inside, swishing it slightly as he holds it up. I peer at it curiously.
Drinking this will numb the pain. I'll be able to ignore that my leg is injured for the time being.
I analyze the vial hesitantly. I'm pensive as I mull over the possible other effect it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives.
Is that safe? It must cause drowsiness or have some kind of impact on you. Not to mention, pushing your leg so hard when it's in that state could permanently ruin it.
He regards me as his lip twists partway into snarl.
My leg isn't broken. It will heal without issue once I'm able to treat it. In order for that to happen, however, I need to live.
I flinches slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must be truly getting to him.
What about side effects? You didn't say what they were.
O'Malley steps in closer to the guide. His question harshly enough to be a demand. O'Malley's trust in the guide has steadily declined since the first night. With the way he's acting, I cannot ignore the sense that it may come to a head before the journey is over. The guide levels a deeply unimpressed look at Vermilly. He then sighs, raising the bottle up so that it's more visible. He swishes it almost impatiently.
It can slow reflexes and cloud the mind.
Immediately, Vermilly's eyes widen incredulously. Margaret quiet gasped, bringing a hand to her mouth. The guide heaves another sigh, though the pain in it makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with group delays as the time marches on.
I will only be taking half a dose. It won't ease all of the pain. However, it will reduce the odds that I will be notably impacted by any adverse effects.
I know how you feel about others coming close to you. But is that truly the best solution to a situation like this? You need to be clear-headed here.
Margaret looks at the bottle and then at him skeptically. Vermilly takes another heavy step forward. He meets the guide eye stonily.
No, you can't drink something like that. I'll carry you.
Vermilly presses forward, encroaching on the guide's personal space. The guide visibly shrinks back again. However, he can't hover much farther away due to his injured leg.
That won't.
Before the guide can put forth another word, Vermilly brazenly snatches the bottle straight from his hand. Everyone is stunned to silence by Vermilly's action. Even the guide has trouble expressing any sort of emotion beyond furious disbelief. Vermilly ignores all of our reactions and smiles triumphantly, hold the bottle like
You have
a...
made it very clear that at the first inconvenience, you would leave us all for dead in the water. As you are now, that is impossible.
The guide narrows his eyes at Vermilly, who only gives him taunting grin.
So, this isn't about any possible adverse effects. You want to leave me injured and immobile on purpose.
Vermilly shrugs, then returns, eyes smirking almost cockily.
If there were no side effects, I likely would have thought nothing of it. However, mentioning those risks triggered something in my mind. You've never done what's best for the group, you only choose the safe option for yourself. With that in mind, I can't exactly trust you when you tell us that the medicine is truly our one option. Now, even if carrying you means that you will be more at risk than otherwise, I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Vermilly chuckles derisively and lowers his eyes while spinning the medicine vial between his fingers.
I hope you're proud that I'm following your advised method of not considering others, guide.
Despite Vermilly's sarcastic jeer, the guide returned to his usual empty, deadpan expression and makes no attempt at rebuttal.
There, he accepts it. What of you?
Vermilly then turns to look at us curiously. Margaret snorts slightly at the
That
injury.
stunt was so ill-advised, I never expected even you to attempt something like it. What if the guide had another bottle with him? We would have all been abandoned by now.
Emily pulls mischievous
I'd have
smirks.
taken that bottle too.
Margaret shakes her head at his response. However, she doesn't seem to upset over this. She seems more at ease than she has been for some time. Emily seems rather pleased by the reaction thus far, grinning widely
If
at
anyone is
us.
worried about my ability to carry the guide for the rest of the night, you shouldn't be. Rest assured, a willowy man like the guide won't slow me down whatsoever.
He puffed his chest out proudly. Margaret can't suppress the laugh that bubbles up from her chest. She waves off Emily's boasting with a silly grin on her face.
You are an absolute buffoon.
Emily faces me expectantly. The guide also level a steely. We may be having a bit of fun getting the upper hand on guide for a change, but if we don't go back now, we never will though. All that matters is reaches the shore safely. What really is for the best in his situations. His expression immediately falls when I say this. He stares down at the bottle in his hands dejectedly. I sigh. I don't enjoy testing his hope of not being completely at the mercy of the guide. However, this reckless behavior is more likely to get all of us killed. He cannot carry a man for this entire journey.
I'm aware that you have good intentions, but having a mutiny on our guide is going too far. Considering the state he is in, it's possible that his mind is clouded already because of the pain. What if he is no longer able to keep his eyes open after a while? If the guide cannot take care of himself, then he won't be of assistance to anyone.
Emily scans me, and I can tell that he still has reservation over my argument. I can't blame him. The guide will not give up on his own life our some pain. Yet I stand by my reasoning and look at him firmly. Emily looks at me and then back down at the bottle. The others start to grow nervous over our bottle over
Hand
wheels.
back the medicine. The guide won't leave us behind as long as we follow diplomatically. We all must cooperate.
We focus our sight back on the guide, realizing he becomes the center of attention. He haltingly gives us a nod. Emily clicks his tongue a few times before doing as I asked and bending the vial back to its owner. He feebly accepts the glass and uncaps it, downing half of it. I feel confident that the guide will continue to show us the way. However, Emily starts to grow frustrated when the guide does not immediately speak, pressing his heel into the wooden board below the anticipated patient. The guide softly rests his forehead against the side of his step. His eyes drop slightly as the relaxes his muscle briefly. He waits patiently for medicine to kick in, forcing the rest of us to do the same. After a brief pocket of time, the guide's labored breathing steadies, and he slowly pulls himself up onto his feet with his step as leverage. Despite stumbling slightly in trying to get up, the spike in energy he receives from the medicine is noticeable.
We must continue now.
He doesn't waste their strength communing with us further, instead turning his back toward our small group. And with that brief statement finished, he starts down the bridge. I can still see him limping. I cannot deny that's worrying. He already taken half the medicine. Would taking enough to properly walk be so much of a risk? I begin to follow after the guide, and the two with me follow behind, making sure to stay within the safe harbor of my light. Once I near him, I notice that he isn't becoming more stable in gait. I ponder over whether I should mention my thoughts to him or not. Margaret sighs in annoyance, but concedes to my suggestion.
He might as well. Since he needs to stand on his own 2 feet, we have to make certain he won't suddenly keel over.
The guy stops in front of us. The view is obscure from my vantage point, but I realize that he puts a hand in his pocket and pulls out the vial. He brings it to his lips and swallows the rest of what's inside. He then calmly tucks the empty bottle inside his coat without another word. It is unusual for him to take suggestions so easily. The pain must be truly been a hindrance. We all continue our journey in silence. I watch the guide from behind and notice that slowly but surely his steps are improving. His limp become less and less noticeable. I feel a small wave of relief wash over me. Our group moves at much brisker pace than the previous night. After the exchange that just took place, the mood has sunk low into murky pool. Not a word is exchanged between us. The only sound that accompany us are the whisper of the demon in the lake and the pounding of our feet hitting the wood. After sometimes we encounter a strange bridge. The oddity is noticeable immediately. The board bent inward and became far narrower than other bridges we've come across. The guide marches forward with no hesitation while the rest of us awkwardly halt in front of the unknown pass. He smoothly glides across the bridge into the center until his effortless walk brings him where boards widen again. Now it's our turn, and with only single lantern shared between us, we have to be mindful of how to cross without leaving anyone in darkness.
I will stay in the middle. One of you will lead while the other goes behind.
I ponder over what positions to take. The person in front could potentially stall the other or bump into us, so it seems important to send someone capable of crossing without stopping. Yet, it may also be better to send someone who could possibly be left behind first to ensure that doesn't happen. I look over my two companions, who also seems pensive over this decision. None of us want to make the wrong choice. I hope dearly to myself that we are exaggerating how dangerous crossing this thin bridge will be.
If no one has an opinion on the matter, I would like to go last. It would be easier for me to match someone else's steps than to walk without a lead.
Emily knows and gives her slight smile.
If that's the case, I will gladly go first.
With the order decided, the three of us carefully start to make our way across. First, Emily stepped onto the narrow bridge. A few seconds later, I follow after him, and after a pause behind me, Margaret also starts going across. As we inch our way across, something strange starts to happen. I notice the bridge start to bend down to the light. I suddenly realize that the weight of all of us is stressing the support beams. The others have noticed as well, as sounds of alarm resound from both in front of me and behind. I speak in a hushed whisper, trying to remain calm.
We need to focus on keeping ourselves centered. We can't let the bridge tilt.
I think over our predicament. I can't leave Margaret behind. There is nowhere for her to go, with no other source of light nearby. Emily could try going by himself while we keep still. We aren't close enough to the guide for Emily to remain in light completely. However, with only him moving, hopefully the bridge will remain stable enough for him to cross it quickly. With him safe on the other side, we will have an easier time keeping the bridge from bending again. I can't be sure if it's worth the risk, though. These concerns may be knee-jerk overreaction to seeing a sign of danger. If all of us go slowly, it's possible we could still cross together.
I don't want to stay here. What if it breaks?
Yes, we need to move forward. If someone notices the bridge bending at all, they need to slow and tell the rest of us.
Both of them nodded. So we begin. I focus my thoughts on putting one foot in front of the other, keeping my balance in check as I try to remain. Despite our best effort, however, the bridge begins to tilt sideways once more. We can stay in sync with one another, causing the front bridge to bend down to the left while the back twists to the right.
Stop! We need to rebalance.
All of us moving our positions at once only further contort the bridge. It begins to rock dangerously, back and forth. I start to struggle to remain on my feet, let alone be perfectly centered. It isn't me alone. A lot of us struggle to keep from toppling over as the bridge waves from side to side. I hear a high-pitched yelp from behind me. I turn my head and see that Margaret is sleeping. She suffers haphazardly on her feet and draws dangerously close to the edge. I reach a hand out to her. As futile as it is, she has already lost her balance and topples over the side of bridge completely.
Margaret!
I shout desperately, but my voice can't help. She struggles just below the surface of the thick waters until the monsters make their way to her. She never resurfaces. There is not so much as a bubble coming up from the lake. The bridge slowly cracks back into place, sloshing as it settles into its original position, all as if nothing happened. An eerie stillness overtakes the area as I stare, mouth trembling at the place my companion was lost. I'm overwhelmed with feelings. My eyes fill to the brim with tears. Why? Why did this have to happen? Before I have any time to grieve, the guy's voice rang out on wind from across
You
the
cannot
bridge.
stay there. You must keep going.
I count my breath in an attempt to calm myself. As long as I stand here, family can't move.
I'm going to start walking again.
All right.
Family replies with agreement. However, there is a quiet anger running through his response. Now with only 2 sets of feet instead of 3. It is not as difficult a journey to make. The mere idea of one of us being missing pains me to my core. Eventually, we make it to the other side of the narrow bridge, and the remaining 3 of us stand together quietly as we process what happened. I placed my free hand over my face to cover my eyes as I begin to weep. Not all of us made it, no matter how many times I state it in my head. I'm not able to make myself accept it. We were all here just a moment ago, and yet now, how could they have happened?
Forget what you saw. As of right now, nothing matters except for the fact that we have yet to reach the shore. Morning will arrive soon. We must continue.
I can understand the word. I need to keep myself together until I reach the shore, and yet it seems impossible to actually do. Everyone is being lost, one by one. I can't take it. Ramirez placed a firm hand on my shoulder. He tried to comfort me while moaning himself. The guide taps the base of his step into the boards, not allowing us to become lost in our sorrow. Ramirez levels a bone-chilling glare at him. Despite this, he lightly tugs on my shoulder, urging me to keep going. I managed to make myself take a step forward. My stomach twists as we simply have to move past the death of another person for the second time. It's so cruel. Margaret was so bright, so thoughtful, even with her teasing remarks. She had so much to offer, and it was all lost in a moment. I'm sorry. After hours of navigating the web of bridges, the faint silhouette of shore creeps into view. It seems unbelievable that the end is in sight. Even the wisp of hope does little to ease the ache inside me. I still feel hollow inside. Those of us remaining continue in the direction of the shore, and the darkness around us begins to break. I see of worry sprout inside me. Will we make it? The guide ahead seems to have no sign of concern on his face. He is calmer than I have ever seen him. I hold on to the hope that we will be able to make it through. The sky above becomes tinged with red as we head down a long stretch of birds. We walk further and further into the midst before what comes into view halts my steps. A dead end. I gasped at the sight. It's sunk. Why? Why did this bridge have to fall out? The shore is there. I see it right in front. Next to me, I hear Vermeulen coos beneath his breath.
Is there any other path?
I ask earnestly, making an effort to keep myself from sounding too panicked. The guide doesn't respond or even turn to face me. He just keeps there ahead at the end of the pathway.
Guide? Our way has been taken from us. We need to find another bridge before the sun rises. Listen to me.
Finally, the guide stirs from my harsh core. He speaks in distant sort of way, as if he were in a trance.
This bridge didn't sink. It was never the path to the shore. And yet here we are.
What?
I took the wrong way. We can't reach the shore. I wonder how much of this was a mistake.
Have you lost your damn mind?
This cannot be happening. It can't. He took us the wrong way, and he did it intentionally. The medicine I robbed him of logic, or perhaps it was his will that was lost. If he had taken less, would this not have happened? Or was it over as soon as I left him to the next sea while on the shore? My mind begins to race with a million other questions, but I snap myself out of it. There is only one pressing matter to attend to at this moment in time. I forcefully grab the guide by his shoulder and make him turn toward us.
You need to show us the correct bridge, or else we're going to die.
He brushes his hand off of him, dropping his step to the side in the process. I grab his wrist and try to pull him forward. He remains solidly planted on the bridge with more strength than I anticipated given his hazy state. Normally rushes to my side and hesitantly tosses the guide over his shoulder. He turns to me with a dire
We need to run.
look.
We're so close that we may be able to find the shore without him. We couldn't trust his word as he is regardless.
The bridge below us begins to tremble, and all I can do is nod. The both of us start to sprint across the bridges, with the guide quickly flung over Vermeulen's back. Not too much progress is made before the shaking morphs into an urgent shuddering and sinking. Despite the bridge starting to disappear below, we keep running until there is no more bridge left to cross. I try desperately to tread water, but my armor weighs me down in this dense fluid. Inevitably, my strength is quickly sapped away. I don't think so much as a plummet down into the lake. The painful fighting, burning in my lungs, takes a few minutes to subside. Then I slip into unfeeling lake of voice. 여러분 지금 엉클준과 함께 Lake of Voice를 플레이하셨습니다. 즐기세요. 엉클준이었습니다.